So yeah, it's been a little while. In case you're curious why it's been a little while, I've started working. I've started doing something with my life. So yeah, I haven't been able to watch MCU movies as much lately. I know my inner soy Jack is crying right now. So yeah, we're watching Iron Man 2, the second Iron Man. So Iron Man 2. Do I think it's a bad movie? No, I gotta be honest here. I actually think it's a little bit underrated. I hear a lot of flack around this movie. I heard a lot of people say, hey, Iron Man 2, oh, that's a doozy. My mum's laughing really loudly. I really hope this isn't picking up in the video. But yeah, Iron Man 2, it's essentially just the second Iron Man, third movie in the MCU, unless you're going chronologically. In that case, then it's like the seventh. I'm not watching this shit chronologically. I don't give enough of a shit. I'm doing this in the order they were released. That means I'm gonna get Guardians. Like I'm gonna get Guardians every once in a while, which is gonna make me sad because I actually like the Guardians movies. So yeah, Iron Man 2. So the plot of this film, there's a lot of plot points in this film. So the film starts, and you have Ivan Vanko, who's also known as Whiplash. I don't think they actually call him that in the movie, but they do call a lot of the villains by their names in these movies. They just call them like the character, like real people names instead of like Ironmonger or Abomination or Whiplash. Which, to be fair, I like comics, but comics often have very dumb names. But yeah, so basically you got that he was actually Tony Stark's father. Tony Stark's father, Howard Stark, was friends with this Ivan dude, and this Ivan dude was also like that. It's like Ivan is the son of the guy who worked with Howard Stark on the core reactor, the arc reactor. That's the relation there. Can you tell this guy kind of sucks? Because I can't remember his backstory. It's kind of shitty. So you got Ivan Vanko, or Whiplash, and he's played by Mickey Rourke, who I really like him in this movie. I kind of like. He's a lot of fun. He's not my favorite part of the movie, but I do think he's having a lot of fun. I love the I've won the my mod. I've won the my mod. I don't know if he's actually Russian or not, but he does like a really good job with the accents. I'm pretty sure he's actually Russian, but yeah, I love just his whole character in this movie. He's a lot of fun. I just wish he was in it more because he's not in this a lot. Because in this movie there's two villains, and that's just always works out great. Yeah, you see this a lot of comic book movies. Spider-Man 3 from the Raimi trilogy does this, and The Amazing Spider-Man 2 also does this. Where they'll just shove in all the fucking comic characters. They make this shot into like a real like movie, pretty much. Also, by the way, who is this? Who is that? I have no idea who this is. I think you got Spider-Man there, you got Wolverine there, you got this woman. I think it's like early Psylocke, maybe. I don't know. I don't know who that is. So yeah, if you guys know that, comment below. So yeah, you got the scene where Ivan, he builds the arc reactor and he makes his own little one. And he's like, good yeah, and he has a little cockatiel. Yeah, I know bird types. My mum's a bird person. I like birds too. I think birds are fucking awesome. The amount of times I've just been like a city or whatever, I just sat down for like 5 minutes, just watch pigeons go by. Do that a lot because I fucking love birds. So then you got this immediately pretty fucking cool scene where he's in like a big jet and he like jumps down as like the fireworks are like going off and he lands in like the Stark Expo. That is immediately was a pretty cool like scene. And he just kind of see. I understand that half of like Robert Downey Jr.'s appeal to Tony Stark is that he's kind of an egotistical dickhead. But in this movie, he's just fucking unlikable for most of it. I've got to be fucking real. So deported's not one of the main things about this movie. I'm not sure if they've said this or not, but it's a very common consensus. Because this movie tries to give Tony Stark a bit of like a drinking problem and all that. That's a reference to the Demon in a Bottle storyline from like the 80s or 90s. Where basically it was revealed that Tony Stark actually had like crippling alcoholism and shit. And he was like dying because of it. But then they realized their leading actor was like an ex-addict and like one of like Hollywood's biggest jokes for like a solid decade. They even make fun of him in like The Simpsons, like the Mel Gibson episode, where it's like, "Oh look, homie, there's Robert Downey Jr. in a shootout with the police. I don't see any cameras. You know, so they probably realized, hey, maybe we shouldn't have Robert Downey Jr. do the addiction storyline. Probably gonna hit him a little close to home. But then they realized they had nothing. They already wrote him in that way. So then they cut out the scenes of the Don't Demon in the Bottle stuff because they realized that will just probably fuck him up. So then Tony's just kind of a douche in this whole movie. It doesn't really get resolved. He just kind of stops being a douche. It's definitely one of the weaker parts of this movie. So he lands at the Stark Expo and he gives some bullshit about like his father or whatever. And he checks his blood toxicity. And I've only thought that was really funny because I'm pretty sure having any toxicity in your blood is very bad. And at one point, it gets to like 50%. That would just obliterate you. Here's what happens realistically if you have like just like 50% blood toxicity. Like you don't survive if your blood is that toxic. That would just kill you. So yeah, he's struggling because like the palladium from the arc reactor, and yeah, I watched this movie a couple of days ago. I was gonna make this video yesterday, but I kind of didn't do so well yesterday, to say the least. Yesterday was a rough day for me. I'm doing bad today now. I'm doing Top of the World. I'm talking about Iron Man 2 in a fucking YouTube video. This is not Top of the World. So yeah, basically, so you got Iron Man, he lands, and he just talks a bunch, and then he goes to like the Senate meeting, and there's this one senator dude. It's not Senator Armstrong. I don't want to hear a fucking if I see one fucking Metal Gear Rising I'm fucking killing someone. So you got fucking senator dude, and he's just like, hey, this guy is bad. And then you have the fucking man, the myth, the legend, my favorite part of this movie, Sam Rockwell as Justin Hammer. Not even joking, I fucking love this dude. He's one of the most fun parts of like any movie I've ever seen. He does that perfect mix of genuine charm and this guy just fucking sucks, and it's this perfect combination of both, and he's marvelous at it. I really don't think I'll ever see another character like Sam Rockwell's Justin Hammer, because it's such a unique character, because he really is that perfect level of, oh, this dude's cool, this dude's a fucking goober. He's just the perfect combination, and he's so much fun. So he's the guy who makes hammer tech, and he's shit, for lack of a better word. He can't really do anything, because Tony Stark, motherfucker. Tony Stark, he does that shit. He does that building suit stuff. Except, he's at, like, Morocco. Yeah, he's at Morocco, and he's at Grand Prix, and he decides to take over one of the vehicles, which I don't think that would realistically happen. So, but yeah, he takes over it, and then Ivan Vanko, otherwise known as Whiplash, kills out his, like, suit. And maybe a pretty cool set. I do actually really like what they do with Whiplash in the first half of this movie. The arc reactors use to power a suit, and that's kind of a weapon. Just use it directly to power a weapon. That's actually a pretty fun, cool plot point. I actually quite like that. And I also like the scene of him where he just comes out with like the suit, and we just see him with like the whips, and he just like destroys the cars. That actually is a pretty fucking baller scene. Then there is another actually pretty cool scene with Tony, and he gets like the suitcase suit, and he like puts his arms into it. He pulls it onto his suit, and it already like goes around him. And that scene looks actually like really good and really cool. Like, I get shit on the MCU all I want. I probably will by the end of this fucking series. I mean, I got like fucking, like, what is this, Quantumania watch? No, what I got that Quantumania with like MODOK and like all that shit. I want to watch these actual like movies, and like the good ones, the good movies, so good to watch. So yeah, and then like Whiplash gets like arrested after Iron Man kind of beats him up. What happened again? It was like, by the way, I forgot to mention Jon Favreau was in this movie as Happy, and that's really funny. I'm not sure if he directed this movie. I can't fucking remember. I don't fucking care. But there's this one scene that introduces Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff, and she's played by Scarlett Johansson. And there's this fucking like scene where she like beats up Happy or whatever, and there's this cool like neck headlock thing, and it's just like, you know how like Quentin Tarantino has like his whole feet shtick, I feel like that was an example of Jon Favreau just kind of like, hey, Miss, Miss Scarlett Johansson, I hope you don't mind, but in this scene, I've written it so my character gets beaten up by you and you put my head in your supplies. So could you do that for the purpose of the movie, please? And you know they did that scene way too many times. They went through that scene like a fucking lot. So yeah, basically, so there's that scene. I will say in this movie, Black Widow feels weird, because she's just kind of there, and like, you can tell they're trying to like, they kind of sexualize her a lot, and I can't tell how much of that was intentional, because, you know, she's trying to intentionally be kind of like the slutty secretary type, because, you know, that's Tony. Tony's a good bloke, but a woman rights activist, he is not. But at the same time, again, because of scenes like the Jon Favreau scene, I can't tell if it was just genuine sexualization. It's a little bit weird. Speaking of, like, women and shit, by the way, Pepper in this movie is so fucking weird. Gwyneth Paltrow, basically, she's in, like, every other scene, but I somehow feel like she's doing less than in the first movie. The first movie, she's in, like, a solid quarter of the movie, I guess, but, like, she feels like she's doing shit there. This movie's weird because, like, it's like the Incredible Hulk. I can see plot points are happening around Pepper. It just doesn't feel like anything is. She's also really not very pleasant to watch in this movie. It's definitely, I think, one of the bigger issues against this movie is that Tony's an arsehole. Pepper is an arsehole. The only guy I like is Don Cheadle playing Rhodey, which, yeah, by the way, we got Don Cheadle now. You know, we got fucking Terrence Howard, we got motherfucking Don Cheadle. Yeah, Don Cheadle is, like, the only guy I actually like in this movie. And even then, he's barely in it, and he is kind of a dick for a lot of it. One scene that fucking got me. It's like, so Tony, he's thrown this party because he thinks he's dying. He hasn't he's got the palladium in his thing. I'm pretty sure they show his blood levels as at like 75% toxicity. Where at that point you're like a puddle of goo. But he's in like the Iron Man suit. Pretty sure the Iron Man suit is what keeping his like arms from being gelatin. And, he's fighting Rory, because Rory's like, hey, you gotta stop being the suit, man. And so they fight, and he, like, he just roars. Tony just goes, rah! And he just fucking roars, and it's so funny. I can tell it wasn't meant to be funny, but I pissed myself, because, like, one thing you don't get a protagonist to do if you want to have them be even remotely cool as have them go, rah! Like the fucking Green Goblin from Sam Raimi. It's really fucking funny, and it's just like, why? Why does he roar at his guests? Also they play that one like Daft Punk funny song, they play that one, and it's funny because I swear there's like a meme of that I saw somewhere, but it was just, I can't remember the specific. I remember just seeing that in memes a lot. Can you tell this movie's very disjointed. I think that's why this review is so inherently disjointed. Iron Man 1, there was a solid narrative through. The Incredible Hulk, there was a little bit of a fucking mess, but that was still, there was a little bit of a mess, but it was still ultimately a thing. Iron Man 2 is just fucking all over the place. There's like a bunch of like plot points that like barely get like developed beyond like the first scene. I think I touched my camera, by the way. My phone. But yeah, there's like a bunch of scenes that like don't feel like they're like, again, I mentioned Ivan Vanko, he's barely in this fucking movie, and every time he's in this movie he's just kind of being like, yo, suit. Like, they don't give him a lot to do. They don't give Justin Hammer a lot to do. He just kind of keeps being a fail husband, Justin Hammer's fail husband. But yeah, like they don't give a lot of the characters a lot of stuff to do. And there is one scene, basically in one part, Nick Fury's in this, Samuel L. motherfucking Jackson, that motherfucker. I didn't even mean to say the motherfucker joke, but I'll keep it in. I mean, Samuel L. Jackson, he's probably sitting there watching this because he's a big fan of the Real Life Singing channel. And he's like nodding in respect, like, yeah, motherfucker. But yeah, he's actually in this movie. He actually gets to act. And a little confession, I've never actually seen anything Samuel L. Jackson's in outside of like a couple of the Avengers movies. But he's actually really good at this movie. They don't give him a lot of screen time, but what screen time he does have, I do actually really like. He actually, I need to watch Pulp Fiction. I know he's in that movie. He's like the guy who's like, English motherfucker, do you speak it? So yeah, I do want to watch Samuel L. Jackson movies. That guy, that dude is motherfucking cool. But I'm not doing this intentionally. I just swear a lot. So yeah. you got you got Nick Fury, and he's in for a little scene. He basically says, "Hey, Tony, you're on house arrest. Don't be a dumbass, you motherfucker." And then he just leaves. And then you got this one scene where basically Iron Man, Tony Stark, he's sitting in like the basement. He's watching like Howard films for some reason, and then one of the most contrived fucking scenes. Turns out that it's like, my best gift actually was you, Tony. I always loved you. I just never said it to your face. It's kind of a nice scene, but it's very, it's very much like a writer being like, oh shit, oh fuck. How do we write this scene to continue? Oh no! Why am I autocard? Snake! How do I get the Iron Man 2 emotional scene to happen? I don't know how! So then they just kind of have it so, like, yeah, the film from the beginning of the movie, the Stark Expert, actually had a secret other part that Tony somehow never saw. What? So yeah, he gets this table from Stark Industries, and it turns out the table, if you take away all the additional buildings, is like an atom, and it's like an atom structure, and I'll admit, that scene, that was actually kind of fucking cool. I'll give him that. That was like a cool little. Oh, no, they outplayed me. I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, then he makes the new element. I don't know what it's called. I think it's just adamantium. No, that's the X-Men thing. They couldn't use that. It's not vibranium, because I know vibranium. That's like the Wakanda shit. Maybe it's the Wakanda shit. I don't know. It's magic science element, right? The MCU is a very just magic science, I like to call it, where they'll just have science produce shit that's bullshit, because that's essentially magic, but hey, it's science, so you can't make fun of it. But yeah. So he makes his new element, and he puts his new arc reactor, and then, what fucking happens after that? She's in, like, the... Look, I really don't give a shit. This movie... I remember saying this movie was, like, good after I watched it, but consider how well I was able to talk about Iron Man 1, and hell, even fucking Hulk to an extent. I was barely able to talk about this one. This film has an Elon Musk cameo. Considering the way that Fred's just launched, I think that's probably the most relevant he's gonna have for a while. oh, fucking me. What he's doing to Twitter is horrible, but yeah, so he gets the new element, and there's this one scene where he's building the big, I think it's meant to be an arc reactor, I don't know. He's building this big circular thing, and Agent Coulson comes in. You know, he was in the first movie. I didn't mention him because he's very irrelevant, but he comes in. He's just like, oh yeah, by the way, I have a new thing coming up in New Mexico. And he holds up Captain America's shield. He's like, how'd you get this? And he like puts it underneath the thing to pluck it up. That was the first, I believe, the first. Let's stop the movie in our tracks just to tell a fucking joke. No, not a joke. What am I saying? Stop the movie in the fucking ground just to get a reference to another movie. They're gonna do that a lot, I got a feeling about. So that's the first example of that, because it's like setting up Ford, it's setting up Captain America. It's admittedly a scene where saying there like, oh, yeah, get it on. So yeah, he makes a new element, then he like goes and fights the... Like, Justin Hammer comes and he shows off all of his new robots that Ivan helped him build, that they're, like, working together. And then Ivan actually hacks into the Hammer Tech thing, because he basically just fucking hates Justin Hammer, and Justin Hammer hates him. So, yeah, Whipple actually hacks into the mainframe, and he starts hacking all, like, the robots, and they start going, like, apeshit. I do actually quite like the scene where, like, Rhodey, he's in, like, his own, like, Iron Machine suit. War Machine, that's what it's called. He's in Marvel vs. Capcom, by the way. So yeah, he has like the cool like robot. He's in the robot suit, but because it was built by Hammer, it's technically in the databases. So that means that Whiplash is able to take control of him, but he can't take control of like the person inside. So Rhodey is like basically giving Iron Man like heads up and like directions on what to do and how to avoid him. That was admittedly actually kind of a cool idea for a scene. So yeah, they fight the Iron Legion, I think they're called, or something. I love how Justin Hammer just gets arrested, by the way. Like, basically Pepper's like, hey, this is the dude who built these, like, murderous robot machines. He's trying to cover it all up. Just take them away, boys. And they do. There's just, like, funny to that about me. Like, every other villain in these, like, fucking movies either dies or has, like, some, like, weird fate happen to them. This dude just gets arrested, like, the real-life New York Police Department. That's just kind of a funny thing. Like, you got like Ironmonger, he fell into the arc reactor. You got Abomination, who just kind of escaped. Now that I think about it, and Whiplash, he dies in this movie. Justin Hammer just gets like arrested, like for reals. He's just in jail. So yeah, turns out Whiplash, he was using the time in like the Hammer tech to build these like drone suits, and also to build the arc reactor to make his, like, he made it better so then he can make his whips even better. And he just also makes a fucking Iron Man suit. It's really dumb. Whiplash, honestly, I think the scene when he has like the pneumatic suit, I think it is, that's actually a fucking cool ass design. I think the idea of him refining that would have been really cool. But then he just has a big Iron Man suit that's on screen for all of like 3 minutes. It's like gone instantly. You barely even process it happened. It's like right at the end of the movie. It's like, hello, Donnie. And then they fight. There's like one scene I like where War Machine tries firing like the ex-wife bomb, as Hammer calls it, because it's made by Hammer. It just kind of, it literally just farts at him. It's actually a pretty funny joke. This movie's like actually funny. Like, I'll give it credit. This movie doesn't have that kind of like, well, that just happened. It doesn't have that kind of humor. Its humor is like a lot, like it's very snappy. It feels, it's not the same kind of more casual conversation-esque humor from the first movie. It's like a very tightly written kind of comedy that I think actually really works, especially with scenes like that. So yeah, then they fight Whiplash for all of like 3 minutes. Then he says, "You lose, Donnie Stark," and he starts like blowing up all of the Iron Legion things, and it's really fucking funny because there's okay. So Pepper, she's at the Stark Expo thing, and she's there like, oh no, I'm gonna stay here for when Tony gets back. And then like the mangled husk of one of the iron suits starts beeping, right? I don't care who you are. This isn't an example of, why didn't she run to the left instead of the right where the killer was? She's stupid. No, this is an example of that. This is an example of basic fucking common sense. If you are like anywhere, like in any situation, and there's a robot next to you, and it's beeping red, and the beeping's getting faster, you run. Not Pepper, though. She does, like, the child actor thing. Like, child actors do, they ask questions, they go, like, like, seriously, look at any movie of a child actor. They always do that when they ask questions. It's like, who are you? What are you doing? Huh? And she, like, does that. She looks at, like, the fucking Iron Legion thing that's, like, beeping, menacing red, and goes, huh? It's such a really funny scene, because this isn't an example of like a, why are they directly running in the wrong way? Ding! CinemaSins, you fucking hacks! No, this is just a scene of just like, are you actually like stupid? Are you actually like brain dead? Like, I don't care who, if I'm near a robot, near a piece of machinery, it starts beeping, I'm getting out. I'm getting out of there. I'm not staying around. I'm not watching that thing. Oh, it's beeping. My cue to leave. So yeah, Tony has to fly in and save her, and then they go on the rooftop, and then the movie just kind of ends. I don't remember a lot about. I don't remember a lot about this movie. It kind of went in one ear out the other. This isn't even just because it's 2 days ago. Yesterday, I barely could fucking remember anything about this movie. There's the post-credit scene, which I do like. The post-credit scene, I'm not saying I do like it. It's like the most post-credits MCU scene, and I think that's why I love it. It's so like, Agent Coulson walks up, it's like, yeah, we got him, and then you just see like the Thor hammer, like the boom. It's like so typically MCU. I kind of love it. One thing I will give this movie, because I was thinking really hard just now. There's an action scene with Scarlett Johansson and Jon Favreau. I keep calling them better actors' names because that's what they are in these movies. It's actually really fucking well choreographed. And I don't mean like well choreographed for an MCU movie. No, it's like actually like really fucking cool looking. I think there's a bit too many cuts with Scarlett Johansson, but is it Johansson or Johansson? I don't know, but yeah, it was actually like a really fucking cool put together scene. It's like very fast, but you can still tell what's going on, which is something a lot of movies, like not even like MCU movies, a lot of movies in general struggle with making a scene both fast and like understandable. And this scene actually manages to do both. And I actually do like how Jon Favreau, Happy, unironically does get a pretty cool moment where he manages to like beat the shit out of this one guy, but then they still make it funny because he looks over and just sees this like wall of just like beaten up dead dudes. He's just like, oh, that was a motorcycle. It was very loud. Yeah, like I like how they actually do like make the moment unironically kind of badass. It's a small touch, but I do like it. They could have very easily just made it so he got his ass handed and just got their hands up like, I got you, or something like that. But no, I love how they do actually give him that dub. Um, so yeah, that's Iron Man 2. Forgive me for this fucking review being all over the place. I don't care much for this movie. This goes below the first Iron Man, shock horror, but above the Incredible Hulk because at least I was entertained in some scenes. That movie, I really just was like, but no, this movie is pretty decent. I might come back to it every once in a while, but that's really if I'm just like feeling the Iron Man mood. So yeah, peace out.